Is it recording? Didn't give me the prompt.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So welcome folks to the SIG Autoscaling weekly meeting on the 30th of June 2025. So we have 4 topics on the agenda right now. Do we have Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello.
Yep. Hey, folks. So just, I think some of y'all know me, but for those of y'all that don't, I'm one of the core maintainers on the Carpenter Autoscaling project. And I know I've talked a little bit with Kuba about this. Like, one thing I would like to kind of propose is that we would maybe have a different time for the SIG Autoscaling meetings. I know that in the US, the time is a little bit difficult for those of us that are on the West Coast. This is 7 a.m. for me in the morning, and I know that it makes it kind of difficult for at least people on our maintainer team to be able to join. I know a lot of the other working group meetings that I attend do like an 8 a.m. time, so basically push an hour back for people on the West Coast in the US. I know that there's conflicts that potentially hits with some of the other working group meetings in the community. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I'm more than happy. I know that the thing that happened with Node Lifecycle working group that is just trying to kick off, they basically put out a doodle poll and tried to figure out like the best time that worked that didn't conflict with any other meeting times. So I'm more than happy to like get that process initiated. I'm just kind of curious what people think and how people think that process could get started, and if that makes sense to everybody.
I think I might have already kicked off that part like the month and a half ago, and basically the outcome was that we need a poll now, like take all of the identified conflicts into account, which was just the Node Lifecycle working group, if I remember correctly. Nobody else reached out to me with any other conflicts, and then set up some poll and just put it to vote.
Was that sent out through a Google group message, or I didn't, or just in the Slack channel? I didn't see that.
Well, it was sort of floated in this meeting. This is a good point that we might want to broadcast this further, though, this is the set of regular attendees. So I wonder how much useful feedback we'll get from the other parts. But definitely. I think though, if you're doing that, I think starting with a poll would be a good middle ground. So like, well, we are considering this, we already have some options in mind, and that way we both gather feedback and can then just move on to the top part.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I just know that this got, as far as I saw, this got kicked off and then we didn't resolve anything, but I don't know if there was just like a wait period that we were expecting to hear back feedback.
No, I was going to follow up with what you're proposing. So like a wider message and a poll.
Okay. Sounds good. Sorry, go ahead, Kuba.
Will you be able to follow up on that?
Yeah, I can follow up on that. The one thing I was going to suggest, just on top of the fact that we had the discussion in this meeting, is that obviously if the reason that people can't attend the meeting is because of the time, it's probably important to broadcast it outside of the meeting, because the people that can't attend the meeting aren't going to be able to come and give input. So I do agree that putting it in the channel, putting it in a Google group on top of the meeting is helpful.
That is completely fair. Yeah. I was mostly thinking about existing conflicts, but very good point.
Cool.
All right. Adrian, point number 1.
Okay, let me give context for this. Both Omer and I are pretty new to Kubernetes. We both approve on the VPA now, and we're both busy working on features. And something that I've realized from the broader Kubernetes community, particularly around KEPs, is needing to get like product readiness review, needing to get API review, all that sorts of stuff. And with our current AEP process, we have none of that in place. And so it feels a little bit like when we work on things together, it's a bit of the blind leading the blind, which I don't want to be responsible for building the VPA into a bad corner. And so we chatted about this, and we weren't too sure on a solution, but something that we thought might be a good idea was to add tech leaders as approvers for any of the AEP directories in the Autoscaling repo, at least for the VPA. That's kind of the only context I'm talking about here. So that's kind of the one thing is does tech leads make sense as a way to bring experience into the things we're doing? And then I guess the second thing is the broader problem of, do we need a better process in place? Maybe pe people from API machinery reviewing APs and that kind of stuff.
Yes. So for point number one, what was the existing process? If none of the existing tech leads or SIG leads were approving, who was?
Any VPA approver can approve an AEP.
Yeah, but do they? I'm just wondering if this is a change only in config, or do you want to actually change the approach?
So I would like to change the approach so that we have at least tech leads
I see.
as sort of a first step to trying to ensure that we're not building ourselves into a corner and doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, I was sort of under the impression that this is the existing criteria.
It is
So
not.
definitely, but to be clear, by tech leads, do you mean the existing set of tech leads? Would you want to expand it with VPA specific people over time?
Um, I think the existing tech leads for auto scaling, and then if we need people, that's something that we would need to
Yeah, okay.
address.
Then I understood correctly.
Yeah,
Then yeah, I definitely feel that the SIG group should be involved in any AEP. If this is not formalized yet, I'm happy to approve any changes that formalize it.
okay. I'll make a pull
Yes,
request for that then and send it your way.
yeah, as
Which
far yeah, go ahead.
So the awkward thing is Ray isn't around at the moment to review VPA stuff. So I don't know if that falls onto Jack or Jack and Kuba and Guy.
Well, Ray's still
Is he
what should
around?
I answer? Yes, Ray's still around. As far
Okay.
as we know, he changed companies, but he still wants to keep the role and convince the new employer to like have some part of his responsibilities be that. And like in any case, from what we have heard from him, he will be around. It's just that right now he's in a transition period where he's
Yeah.
less active. So I would start with just the Sigrid group,
Yeah.
and then if it turns out that we lose race capacity, we'll need to find somebody else to
Yeah.
promote to that position, I guess. Jack?
Yeah, the way that I'll handle this is for the part of the review that's just sort of Kubernetes expertise, experience, that kind of thing. I can confidently add critical review comments as it gets closer to the VPA implementation under the hood. I'll rely on other folks. But I can act as a kind
I
of
think that's
wrangler
the
if I
that's
reach
the
the
idea.
boundaries of what my expertise is, then I'll just start pinging people and I can hopefully help accelerate that process.
I think that's the idea, right? I think the VPA specific parts are already covered by the authors and the other reviewers. It's just that we're afraid that we're not aligning on the other Kubernetes parts of it. If I
Well,
understood correctly.
I'm just more worried that we don't have a lot of experience in the current group of VPA approvers. And so VPA approvers approving other VPA approvers with very little experience seems like it might not end well.
Yeah, like the challenge to that is on the flip side is the approvers don't actually have much VPA experience, or in my case, close to none. For some, like for what it's worth, somebody will be replacing Ray's position internally at Google, and I still expect some, or at least comparable at this time, involvement from them. So it's not like Ray's position change. It shouldn't affect long-term plans. It might affect them in the short term. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I think for now you only have the current SIG. And as
Yeah.
far as wider API reviews go, the birth of the AEP process was basically if something's specific to autoscaling doesn't touch like that the CAP process was a bit too bloated for any change that we might have wanted to align on. But I definitely agree that, especially if we introduce a new API, bringing in an actual API reviewer from the CAP process is preferable. Like if we have somebody with the bandwidth, this is what we did for the buffers API, AEP, for example, and it resulted in like meaningful comments
Okay.
and changed the approach in a couple of places. So we do have this ability whenever it's needed.
Cool. And I guess adding tech leads as approvers for the VPA enhancement directory will mean that people like yourself who know these things will be able to, even if you can't review the pull request, tell us to bring in other people.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think,
Yes.
okay,
Exactly.
perfect. Cool.
Yes.
Okay,
I
then
think
I'll make a pull request, get tech leads added, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah. Have a hand, Julian?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, just one thing I want to mention. So I'm on the Google side, on the CK side, I'm taking Ray's role. We also have John Mark and Luis that have a bunch of experience from CK side. So of course I'm not an expert on the VPA and HPA code base. So I'm still ramping up and leveraging them a lot. Yeah, but that's the plan from the CK side.
Do the people you mentioned have reviewing capability for proposals like Adrian is mentioning?
Maybe Jean-Marc, Luis, you can talk about that. I'm not sure actually.
Okay. Now, definitely don't have to talk about it now, but it seems that we have some even immediate capacity for reviewing.
Cool, thank you.
Which brings us to your second point, Adrian.
Okay, so I see Max is on the call. I was thinking about the in-place feature being probably one of the bigger features in the VPA in a while, and what our plans were with regards to turning it on by default. In a private DM, Max and I chatted about it, and we thought leaving it in alpha, being off by default for one more release might be a good idea. The reasons we used weren't very solid reasons, but there were reasons. So I thought what I'd do is bring it up at the call, also leave an issue. So if people have opinions about what we should do with the feature, if we should promote it to beta, if we should not, I don't know. Please go to the issue, leave some opinions, and we'll see what happens.
I will have to bring myself to speed on that one, but I'll try to provide an opinion this week.
Cool. And I guess also getting input from the GKE VPE folks would be nice as well.
Definitely. Julian, is that something you could take a look at as well? Or somebody from your team?
Yeah, I think Luis probably.
Perfect.
Probably the right person.
Thank you. So then lastly, we have Elmiko.
I was just giving a shout out to Jack and Daniel. There was a logging issue that came up last week, and I was a little surprised to see these logs removed. So Jack and Daniel were really quick to help me out. So it's just a thank you.
Yeah, sorry for the removal. Do we have any other topics right now?
I'll plan to slog through the rest of the cluster autoscaler release process this morning for me. So I feel like I have clarity. It's super manual and I've never done it. So thanks everybody for your patience. But it's pretty similar to other automated release processes. So I feel like we should be able to automate it. Just needs some effort.
Yeah, like the big missing part were the end-to-end tests, which we should have in a better state. Or I know that your Azure tests are also in a better state than the GCE ones. But we'll have to touch end-to-end test for DRA in any case. So maybe that would be an opportunity to automate that, because like everything but qualification should be very easy. I agree. You have the version already, like the image is promoted, right? It's just the release notes now.
It's already manually tested and promoted. It's just the release notes and that part of it.
Okay. That's
I've
great.
never run that manually, so other projects you just run a make target. Someone already did the hard work for me. So
Yeah, well, I was even surprised that we have the tool. I was usually just compiling the notes manually.
I don't know if I'm
Because
willing to do that. That's too 2015 for me. So
yeah, they usually require, like, I would imagine they at least require some editing, because we are historically haven't been very good about keeping the release notes field, correct during reviews. I try to, but some PRs just get in without it, and might be worth looking at bigger PRs or something like that. But let's just discuss that on Slack. Okay. Any other topics? If not, thanks for attending, and see you all next week.